Greeting to our value addition who have come to 24 Hours Channel, the channel that provides constant and fast update on the hosted news both domestically and internationally. In today's news, let's take a look at the most interesting story of the day.
Dear beloved audience, misfortune continues to surround the leadership of Xi Jinping and the capital city of Beijing. This morning, the country received devastating news as dark clouds, tornadoes, and a Category 13 hurricane combined with a dragon spout appeared in the East Sea, submerging all illegal fishing vessels and oil drilling rigs of Beijing. This situation has put Xi Jinping's government in a precarious position. The information was immediately relayed by the media and confirmed by the Chinese government, stating that yesterday morning, a super strong Category 13 storm made landfall in the city of Shishar, also known as the Spratly Islands, illegally occupied by China, causing violent tornadoes and sweeping away all operating oil extraction vessels in the East Sea, as well as illegally stationed ships in the Paracel Islands and the Spratly Islands, also claimed by Vietnam. This has left the nerve center of Xi's government in Beijing extremely fearful. Prior to this, the Central Coastal Protection Agency of China issued an urgent announcement urging the population and relevant agencies to seek shelter and protect Beijing ships. However, China was too complacent, stating that the storm made landfall and would not affect the East Sea region. But yesterday morning, inexplicably, Mother Nature unleashed a sudden tornado that struck Shisha and Nansha, illegally occupying Vietnam's territory, causing all ships, military bases, and infrastructure such as power lines, roads, schools, and stations on artificial islands built by China to collapse. Many believe that it seems like Mother Nature is still punishing China and eliminating Xi Jinping's regime for daring to send troops to invade Fulham Island, the Cross Reef Island, and Scarborough Shoal, belonging to Vietnam. This is why China has been hit by continuous heavy rains. In recent days, a dense storm has been sweeping through all southern provinces, eastern regions, and Beijing. Furthermore, the storm is also raging on Hainan Island, Guangxi Province, and Guangdong Province of China. Ladies and gentlemen, 2023 is truly a year of disasters for Xi Jinping's regime. Within just over a month, this country with a population of over 1.4 billion has already experienced the two strongest storms in the world, wreaking havoc on Beijing. Now, it is the second storm, one of the most powerful storms, which is relentlessly pouring down on Hainan Island, Guangdong Province, and Guangxi Province, leaving Xi Jinping's government extremely anxious. For seers like Vanga and two Indian child prodigies have predicted that China, in 2023, will either collapse or suffer greatly from floods, natural disasters, epidemics, failed harvests, famine, and drought. According to China's Rapid Statistics Bureau, up until today, in just the first 2 months of the year, this country has experienced a series of disasters, from earthquakes to floods, landslides, dike breaches, and dam collapses, affecting over 40 million people in provinces such as Wuhan, Hubei, Anhui, Jiangsu, Sichuan, Jiangxi, Fujian, Guangxi, Shanghai, Guangdong, and even flooding the Tiananmen Square in Beijing. The heavy rains of the past few days show no sign of abating, causing floods from the upper reaches of the Yangtze River, the Yellow River, and the Mekong River to continuously pour into the Tam Heap Dam, leading it to open 3 additional floodgates, operating 24/7. As a result, the downstream areas of China have been submerged in floodwaters. The city of Wuhan in Hubei province issued a red alert for heavy rain last night. At least 8 people have died, and 4 are missing. The water level at Wuhan airport has risen, making it impassable for vehicles. In many areas of Hubei province, daily rainfall has far exceeded historical records from the 2016 flood disaster and the 1998 flood. According to experts monitoring the situation of natural disasters, it is expected that the disaster situation in China will temporarily not cease due to climate change and the dense cloud cover causing continuous rainfall. At least in February, the floods and disasters will continue to besiege China persistently. We hope that the Chinese people can overcome these difficulties swiftly, as they have endured much suffering in the past month. Ladies and gentlemen, according to information we have just gathered from social media platforms like TikTok and some Chinese newspapers, this morning China experienced another intense earthquake measuring 5.1 on the Richter scale, with its epicenter about 60 kilometers from the capital city of Beijing. The earthquake caused strong tremors in high-rise buildings in Beijing and surrounding areas. In places close to the epicenter, houses have already collapsed due to days of heavy rains, weakening the soil in China. As a result, 30 houses have collapsed, thousands of hectares of flowers have been destroyed, and the damage is extremely severe. Moreover, heavy rainfall continues to pour down on China. According to the Chinese Central Flood Control Center, as of today, China has gone through 45 consecutive days without sunlight. This sky over China remains dark and gloomy. Many believe that it seems like the heavens continue to inflict painful blows on China to punish the regime of Xi Jinping for the wrongdoings he has caused to Vietnam and the world. It appears that the divine forces and Mother Nature have not yet shown mercy to China. At 6 a.m. this morning, in a weather forecast on the China Central Television, the country's Meteorological and Hydrological Forecasting Center stated that China will continue to face state-heavy rainstorms, along with floods, landslides, and dragon spouts in the upstream and downstream areas of the Tamheap Dam and the Yangtze River. If this happens, there is a high possibility that the Tamheap Dam will reach a 98.8% risk of collapse. Intelligence from the United States and Japan warns countries to be cautious of China, as there is a high possibility that they will continue to illegally cross the border to escape from the Tamheap Dam, posing a significant risk of disease transmission. This is because many Chinese citizens in Wuhan City are carrying the COVID-19 virus. This is why many countries in the region have closed their borders with China. Myanmar, a country bordering China, has closed its borders. However, yesterday, the media in Myanmar reported that the local authorities had captured 13 Chinese people who had illegally crossed the border. They believe that these illegal border crossers from China are spreading the disease to Myanmar. India and North Korea also issued warnings yesterday about the large number of Chinese people illegally crossing their borders. Therefore, the border forces of these countries are heavily patrolling to control Chinese individuals. These are images that depict the violent power of nature, and this is the scene in Yangtze City, Sichuan province. After several days of prolonged heavy rain, buildings of all sizes have been swept away by fierce mudslides. This man was fortunate to escape death when someone pulled him out of the rushing current, but many others were not as lucky and were buried in landslides. It may take many more days to estimate the extent of the damage, but major transportation routes have already been severely destroyed. Meanwhile, areas affected by the heavy floods are still facing more upcoming rainstorms. In Beijing, at least 2 people have died, and thousands have been displaced as floodwaters spread across the capital of China. Heavy hail began to fall in Beijing last week, and the water level has risen rapidly since yesterday, leading to the closure of many shops and schools. A resident in Beijing told the BBC that floodwaters entered their house at 3 p.m. yesterday. The water level keeps rising, reaching up to 3 meters inside my house. We don't have dry clothes to wear, and we are facing a shortage of food. Meteorologists predict that heavy rainfall will continue in the coming days. Ladies and gentlemen, another strange omen has appeared on the National Day of the People's Republic of China. Yesterday, numerous Chinese newspapers reported that a sudden and powerful lightning strike had hit the headquarters of Xi Jinping's regime in the capital city of Beijing, forcing the officials to take shelter in bunkers. Fortunately for Xi Jinping, the lightning strike only hit a lightning rod. Otherwise, he would have been struck by lightning, and today he might not be able to stand on the podium to address the nation. Many believe that even if the gods of thunder and lightning strike Xi Jinping, the leader of the Chinese Communist Party, it would not absolve him of his many wrongdoings, as he has caused numerous harms to the world. According to a renowned American news agency, The New York Times, despite China being ravaged by floods, natural disasters, and the COVID-19 pandemic, Xi Jinping's regime has continued to conduct live ammunition military exercises to escalate tensions in the South China Sea, threatening countries in the region and challenging the world, including the United States. The American news agency reported that a division of the Chinese military's Air Force and Navy in the Southern Theater Command has been conducting live ammunition exercises, launching missiles, and dropping bombs in the Paracel Islands, near Vietnam's Hong Sa Paracel Islands, for the past 7 ongoing days. This directly poses a danger to the South China Sea, especially threatening many countries in the region, including Vietnam. The US and Australian navies have immediately deployed to the South China Sea. The US Pacific Fleet has dispatched 2 aircraft carriers, USS Lemur and USS Bonhomme Richard, carrying a significant number of guided missiles, to approach the Chinese military exercises. However, despite all this, Xi Jinping's regime, disregarding everything, continues to launch live ammunition missiles and drop bombs around the Paracel Islands to threaten countries in the region. CNN also quoted the words of Admiral Davidson, the commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, stating, "We are truly surprised that despite the floods and natural disasters ravaging China, Xi Jinping's regime does not care about the people. They are still taking a large number of offensive weapons to the South China Sea to demonstrate their power and challenge all countries in the region." Previously, the U.S. Department of State and Department of Defense had strongly criticized China and advised that it should immediately stop its actions that are considered a threat to the South China Sea. China should focus on disaster relief efforts and combating the COVID-19 pandemic instead of provoking conflicts with all countries in the region. Otherwise, the United States and its allied partners, including Vietnam, will take action to restore peace to the South China Sea.
Yes, dear viewers, that concludes today's news. We sincerely thank you and everyone who has been following our news. We wish you and your family good health and happiness. If you find it enjoyable, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon in the top right corner of the screen to not miss the latest news that we will update. For now, goodbye and see you again.